Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm glad to have this opportunity to record this video. I've been meaning to record this for a very long time, so alhamdulillah for this opportunity. In this video I would like to talk about the comparison between Masjid Omar and then the rehabilitation and construction of Masjid that happened under pious projects in 2021, inshallah. So I'm going to cover this in 3 areas, and that is what we achieved under Masjid Omar, since we already know a number of things that we achieved under the other masjids. And then I'll also look at the team composition, and then I'll also look at the cost differences. And in the cost differences, I'll also be able to tell you about some of the cost drivers that really pushed the cost so high. First and foremost, to respond to the question of Brother Fahim about why this came out so wonderful compared to the different masjid projects that we did in 2021, I must say the bigger factor here is really the experience. In 2021, personally, I did not have any experience managing a construction project or even working on a masjid. 2021 was mostly time that I managed to gain a lot of experience in rehabilitating and constructing a masjid. Even though we did not really achieve to the expectations, I managed to learn a lot, and alhamdulillah, the learnings I applied to Masjid Omar made it to be very successful. I guess if we continued with the project maybe in 2022, maybe the projects would turn out different. But of course, there were also different learnings that I can share here. So in terms of deliverables, I can say the bigger difference here is that most of the masjids we worked on were built using poles and mud, and Masjid Omar we built using bricks from the foundation. And so it was easy to decide the design even before putting the first brick down, and there was a lot of preliminary activities that happened before the construction even started. So that is one. We acquired land. It was an empty land. We purchased construction materials ranging from the site materials like the sand, the bricks, the aggregates, and the sand were in 2 types, the lake sand and the pit sand, different prices. And then the aggregate also, we had the big size aggregate and then the machine crushed aggregates, and that the price difference was like double. All that happened, it happened that way because we had the help of a professional civil engineer, and then we really had a very competent labor, which I'm going to discuss in the team. And then we also got out of that project a motorized water system, whereby we were able to pump water 500 meters, 300 meters away up to the masjid, and then pump it into a water tank, which was also constructed and put on a tower constructed by the project itself. And then we were able to install electricity in the beginning of the constructions to help with a number of activities like welding the doors and the windows, and also supporting in other elements within the construction site. Also, we never bought water. We only bought water for a few times, but from the beginning of the construction, we had the water tank already built, and so we were able to pump every day water from the side up to from the well up to the construction site. And then we also purchased praying mat. It was a quality one. I was able to secure that, and yeah, that was also a good one, which we never really achieved under Pious Projects in 2021. And then transport cost was really high, because almost every week we would have a truck coming from Hoima town, costing about 600 to 700,000, carrying cement and other construction materials from Hoima town to the construction site. And then, so transport was a big thing. And then there were also the construction equipment that we used, especially the construction equipment, especially the wheelbarrows that we would use, and some of them would even break down beyond repair within the 3 months that we constructed the masjid. Plus, of course, the saw and other small items that were needed by the builders. So the team, that is all about what we managed to deliver. And then in terms of the team, we had a management team of 4 people, and then we had masons, about 20 masons. I don't have the exact number, but I have it in the system. And then we also had about 40 helpers. So in total, we had actually on site, the total number that worked there, we had over 100 people, though some of them dropped out along the way, and we had to keep the best ones to continue with the work. And then among the management team, we had myself, the project manager, who was coordinating everything with Omar and also the rest of the team to make sure everything was going on according to plan, making sure all the materials were on the site, resources were there to buy materials on the site, both site materials and the hardware materials from Hoima town. And then we also had the site engineer. This is a civil engineer who we got from Kampala, though he has a background in Hoima. So he came and he was on the site all the 3 months. It costed us about 15 million to have him on the site throughout, because we really needed his guidance. This was a big mosque, which needed a lot of technical guidance throughout, from foundation to the beam, to roofing, and up to the finishes. So we had him on the site throughout. We had a site manager who ensured that we had people, the masons and the helpers, and the cooking was happening, and the welfare, even the medical, in case somebody got an accident on the site, they were able to get treatment. Some of these elements we really didn't have under Pious Projects in 2021. And then lastly, we had the logistics person who was keeping record of everything. The person was responsible for recording all the site materials that were coming, all the hardware materials that were arriving, and then also controlling how these materials were being used. So that also helped, and the person was also responsible for ensuring that all the workers signed in while coming to work in the morning, and they also signed out at the end of the day. And we were very strict that if somebody came and left earlier, we would even pay them half day, just to make sure people were getting paid only for whatever they had worked for. So that is it. But at the end, it costed us about $126,000 to build just Masjid Omar, and the reason is that it had double wall. The people who came to the site, during the launch, were saying, this would fit like 2 big mosques, because we had a double wall, the inner wall and the outer wall. And another thing that really pushed the cost high was we were giving these people like the best food. Unfortunately, prices of food had like doubled. The beans that we used to buy at 2,500, 3,000, we're now buying at 4,000, 5,000. And so it was really expensive. And then we also provided them with pilau. So every Friday they were eating meat and rice instead of the usual posho and beans. And then we also had medical insurance on the site. And then one big thing was now the payment of the workers, because all the masons and the helpers, Brother Omar advised that we give them the highest pay that is given in the camp. So we were paying them each 20,000 for the masons, and then the helpers were paying them 10,000 per day. And at some point, some of them even complained, and were able to raise, with the guidance from Omar, were able to increase the pay to 25,000 for some senior masons that were working on the site. So if I'm comparing this, for 6 masjids under pious projects, we did renovations, and it was not easy for us to determine the shape. We would only try to expand on what was already there, and then the shape of the wall, really making it straight. Some of them would even break the whole side and work on it. Some of them would remove the roof and re-roof with new iron sheets, which also made it almost equally expensive. And then I think with the pious projects, we did not have water system, and then we only put solar because electricity line was not reaching those sites. And then for most of the sites, we had volunteers doing the cooking for those who were on the site, and that also led to loss of food, because for some of them you find we're having maybe 10 workers on the site, and the family is also having 10, and when they are cooking for the workers, they also don't cook their own. That is the only way they benefit from their sacrifice to cook for the workers. They also eat the same food. And then for Masjid, for the Masjid which we constructed from scratch, that one, the biggest weakness was that we put our trust in the masons, and unfortunately the masons did not have the technical capacity to really determine what was best for the mosque. Like when they needed to put the pillars, they were not able to put it, and then even the roofing was not done well. We had to do it again and again. Like we did it like 3 times, just the roofing of that masjid. And then we also struggled so much to support the ceiling board from falling. So somehow it also made it expensive. So I was saying, comparing also the cost, this Masjid Omar costed, compared to the Masjid rehabilitation and construction of pious projects, it was like 64%. The 2021 project was 64% of what we spent at Masjid Omar. And then even after spending the 126,000 on construction up to the launch, by the way, the launch also was mega. We slaughtered two bulls, and then we also printed 1,000 t-shirts for the people who were, all the Muslims and the non-Muslims around. So all those also increased the cost, especially since Omar specifically wanted us to buy the best quality t-shirt, which by then we were only able to get at a price of 35,000 each. So that also made it expensive, but it also made it very wonderful, the launch itself. Yeah, so I don't know if I've covered everything, but I think all in all we learned a lot from the pious projects rehabilitation and construction of a masjid in 2021, and also we had a weakness in the team. It's like I was taking care of everything that the full management team here were doing, and so it was quite overwhelming. And I think if we give it another try, the next projects, well budgeted with the help of a professional engineer, we can do just equally good masjids at even at, I could say, like 40 to 50% of what this masjid has consumed, because of the different aspects that we did not control here. And it was also the wish of Brother Omar that we spent much money on them. So thank you so much. I am going to record another message in audio, specifically to talk about some of the things that happened in 2021 and how the project actually went down. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.